Hey guys, how's it going? Mies here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we are going to talk about this boy right here, Ervalen. But, as usual, before heading into that, remember to hit that subscribe button if you're not subbed yet. I really appreciate it. So, Ervalen. This guy, whew, I think that he has the potential to be really, really good. So, let's go into him a little bit. So stats wise, he's a Scorpio, which is I think a really, really good stat line for Thief, because you're a little bit tankier with, a bit higher health, though you don't have much defense, right? But you do have a good amount of attack, good amount of health, a good amount of speed, and then you get some crit chance, and on top of that, he gets crit chance imprint concentration, which is really, really important because it makes him a lot easier to build. Crit chance is one of the harder stats to get on your gear, so if you're able to get crit chance anywhere else for free, then it makes him so much easier to build and you're allowed to do so much more damage. So off the bat right here, he gets about 39% to like 40% crit chance if you have him triple S, which is crazy. Of course, not everybody's going to have him triple S, but we're just going to get into the stats in a little bit, and we're going to see that you can actually still do some really, really good damage without that, and you're probably going to be doing absolutely insane damage if you don't, if you do have it. So, swapping his skills a little bit. I'm sure most of you guys by now know what he does, but, we'll just go over a little bit. So, S3 attacks, it's a single target ability that attacks an enemy. It gives you counter attack buff and also gives you a barrier. And those two things are really, well, counter attack is kind of like a nice to have, I feel, for him. But the barrier is very, very nice for him. Increases survivability, which does synergize with the counter attacking kind of play style for him. And then if you soul burn it, it extends the duration of the buffs. So counter attacking will last 3 turns and the barrier lasts 3 turns, which is pretty useful because it is on a 4-turn cooldown, so that means you'll have it basically 1 turn downtime if you use that. But taking a look at his S2, he attacks, it's another single target attack, gives yourself immunity for 1 turn. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot, it has his abilities, his S3 and his S2 have health scaling, so the difference, actually, does S2 have health scaling? Yes, but not for damage. So his S3, if you have lower health than your enemy, then you'll be doing more damage, up to a maximum of 60% more damage. And then S2 will actually, really cool, give you combat readiness as well, up to a max of 30%. Combat readiness, which is awesome. Giving him more turns, always really good. But at the same time, kind of counterintuitive, like to his skill kit, because he does put on that barrier, he does put on that counter attack. So if you're taking more turns, then that's earlier, that's when your buffs go down faster. So kind of a little bit works against his skill kit, but I still do think that because it only is like a 1 or 2 turn cooldown, at the end of the day, before he can get his buffs back up, it's not terrible. And of course he's a damage dealer, so getting more turns means he's able to pump out more damage. And the S1, really cool. It has a chance to decrease defense. I think that, with defense, or, if your RNG is good on that day, you're going to have that, 50%, maybe even closer to 100%, of course. RNG chance to get that defense turn. It's a 2-turn death break too, which is kind of crazy. But if you're on kind of an off day, it's more close to 0. All RNG, but I do think it's a really cool part of his kit, because sometimes you might accidentally hit him, right? Or you do an AoE attack and he counters you and he death breaks you. Then if he has his S3 up, he basically just nukes any unit off the planet. So I think his skill kit is really, really cool. His stat line is really, really cool. And taking a look at his artifact a little bit, after attacking with a single attack, increases the cast attack by 10% and has a chance of silence. I don't know. I feel like this is probably not the best artifact on him, because you're going to want him to use as kind of like a tank buster, a tank breaker. Open up and just destroy those tanky units. So yeah. Going into kind of the other stats, actually, we'll go into the game actually and take a look at Ervalen's stats, or how you could potentially build Ervalen. So you're going to want Ervalen to be a little bit fast, because you're going to want to be able to get in there before the tanks get in and put up those defensive buffs, right? You're going to want to be able to nuke them down. So you're going to want him to be decently fast. I have him at 218 speed right now. I feel like he could definitely be a little bit faster. But, you know, I think this is a reasonable amount of speed. And, you know, Biken, Scorpio Thief, so all these stats are the same. So what I'm able to build him with is actually, and this is not even that optimized, because if you look at this, I will have one crit set item. I'm not using any set other than speed set, so I could get more damage on him. And if you look, 96% crit chance, I could even bring that up to 100%. I'm not taking advantage of the imprints. So if you have imprints, then you can boost this up even more. You'd maybe even get something around like this speed, or maybe a little bit higher with like 3,700 4K attack, which is kind of nutty. But yeah, this is the stats that I can get on him with kind of like my best gears, I guess. But of course, not optimized, so you can even get it higher. So I'd say probably above average for most people if you're optimizing your gear sets correctly. And with this setup, if you have good immunity set gear, you could even put him on immunity set, and he'll do, you know, he'll have immunity and be able to do that damage. So I went ahead and plugged in these numbers into the Epic 7 damage calculator. And if you look at the numbers, it's kind of crazy. I put in about 3,400 attack because my gear isn't optimized, so I could probably pump out 200 more attack easily. If I had the optimized gear, like, you know, the actual having a crit set, or putting some imprints in there. Like I said, you could probably go up to like 3,700, 4,000, but I'd say this is about like average to above average. Oh, I have great attack buff on, sorry about that. So right now, using portrait, no attack buff, on a tank with about 1,600 attack or defense, and, you know, whatever, 24k defense or HP. Here I'm doing about 11.2k damage, which is respectable, but a lot of times you're going to have attack buff, right? So you're going to be doing about 17k damage. That's almost all of that tank's HP, which is crazy. Like, you are going to be destroying and melting these tanks. On top of that, he's going to give himself, you know, a barrier, a fat shield, so it's going to increase survivability, which allows him to take advantage of the fact that he can counterattack and do 7k damage. And of course, we're using Portrait of Saviors because I feel like he will be used as kind of that tank buster nuker, open up with him. So he's going to be doing a lot of damage. And this is probably on, like, let's say, like, I don't know, like an FCC, right? So that's how much damage you're going to be doing it. You might say there might be an adamant shield, right? From my, I guess, my thinking is that if you're going up against a tank character, a lot of times they're actually not going to be using adamant shield and probably using Aureus, right? So that's not really going to be decreasing the, that's not going to be affecting your damage because that Aureus does not work on themselves. They're not sharing that damage to other units. But of course, sometimes they use adamant shield, right? Then you're going to be doing a little bit less damage, but you're still, that's very, very respectable damage. And as I mentioned, sometimes you might hit him, like, you know, as you're playing through, he's going to be built like a bruiser, right? If you look at my stats, he does have quite a bit of HP on him, so he's going to be built kind of like a bruiser in, you know, what I would want to build him as. So he's going to be somewhat survivable. He's going to be living in there. He's going to have that shield plus 13k, that's like 19k HP, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But yeah, so he's going to be in there. He might act, you know, counterattack a unit, and when he does, might death break. Death break, that unit's instantly gone, obliterated. The one thing that I can think about people saying, like, oh, well, this is, you know, going to be a tank buster. Is he going to be able to do damage to non-tanky units? Is he going to be able to do damage to units that are, you know, DPS units, right? Well, let's take a look at that. So DPS units, probably about 1k defense. We're not going to have that much HP. So as you pull this down, right, you're going to be doing less and less damage. But even if they're the same amount of HP as Ervalen, you're still going to one-shot them. Like, look at that, even through Adamant Shield. Because these DPS units are going to be squishy. They're probably not going to have 13k HP. So, overall, I do think that Ervalen will be a really, really good unit. The one thing to note is that Ervalen will get countered by a unit like Basar, right? You're not going to get that attack buff. You're not going to get that shield. You're not going to get that... not going to get the attack buff, not going to get counter attack buff, not going to get shield. So really, he's going to be kind of underwhelming with that. And you're not going to be able to give himself immunity with your S2. So with that, I think that you can get pretty hard countered by some of those stripper units, like Basar, which kind of sucks. So I don't know if he exactly is going to be like a first pick material. He can be, of course. You can try to force them to pick that and then pick some other units that counter Basar, like a Holiday Euphine or something like that. And before I forget, some of you guys might be saying, well, you know, what if the enemy has defense buff up, right? You're doing a lot less damage. Bring up the tank units, stats again, 1600 defense-ish, 9k attack, or 9k damage, with Adamant Shield, of course, not doing that much damage, right? That's true. But I think that the type of unit that you're building is one that, you know, you want to go pretty fast, right? You're going to want to go before the tanks. So with, you know, 220 something speed, most of the tanks you're going to be going in front of. You know, of course, sometimes you will have some crazy geared units and have like 230 speed, but you could also have a crazy geared Ervalen and have like 240, 250 speed. Of course, I don't have that gear, but I definitely know that you can build units like that. So with that, I would say that, you know, you're going to use him as an opener, right? Use him as a nuker. Well, you're going to open up and nuke these tanky units. And, you know, at the end of the day after that, they're going to have less health. You're going to probably be able to will them down. And that defense increase is probably not going to be as important at that point. And if it's a DPS unit, then they're probably just going to be off the face of the planet. And you won't have to worry about defense buff. So yeah, with that, I do think Ervalen is going to be a really good unit, a really great addition to the RTA meta. And I think he's going to be good for like Guild Wars as well and Arena. So probably a really good pool, but we'll have to see, right? Units are always unexpected. Sometimes their kits are crazy and they come out to be not so great. So I'm definitely going to pull for him, and, you know, I'll test him out, put him through the ringer, and see how things go. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down and tell me why. And comment down below. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out.